Hey, good morning, everybody. It is Saturday morning, and we are back with this year's new episodes. Hey, hope you are having a great new year. I hope your holidays were awesome and that your new year is off to a great start. Looking forward to this morning's interview, which we'll get to in a minute. But hey, let me ask you a question. What have you done this year for your goals and for goal setting? What has this year started to lay out for you? Where are you headed? Where are you trying to go? What are you trying to accomplish? I'd love to chat with you about your goals, about your dreams, what you're working on this year, and how can I be supportive of you in that in the coming months, in the coming year here. Let me know. Reach out to us. We're here every Saturday morning. So if you're new to the show, welcome. Glad that you're here. Hope you have your coffee because you're going to want to buckle up for this morning. I have a great way to start the year. My guest this morning, Rebecca Irby, she's the CEO of Blue Sky Financial, a nationally trusted wealth strategist dedicated to helping families, women, and entrepreneurs break free from the broken financial system. And, I love that because, I couldn't agree with that more, that our financial system is broken and we don't get taught a lot of things early on. So I'm looking forward to this interview. But with decades of experience, a bold voice for financial independence, and an unapologetic mission to empower Americans to reclaim control of their money, Rebecca blends strategy, education, and heart. And I know Rebecca's got some heart just based on the early conversation this morning. For those who are willing to reclaim it, let me bring Rebecca in. Hey, good morning, Rebecca. How are you?
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Sometimes it can be early to get up on a Saturday morning, but I think you're on Central Time, so that's a little bit different than where I'm at. So as I always kick this off, I always like to ask one question of my guests. And I've been saying for a year, I'm going to write a book on this, but in one word, what best describes you personally and professionally?
Rebellious? That'd probably be my guess. Yeah. My dad was a Marine, and he would tell you that would describe me to a T in every sphere of life.
So obviously we're going to have a great conversation this morning. What do you think made you rebellious?
Gosh, I don't know. Did I mention my dad was a Marine?
You did?
Yeah. Well, there is that, I'm an Enneagram 8. If you know, like that's the thing. I'm an Aquarius, which means I'm stubborn as all get out with, so depending on what your crowd follows, both of those things will tell you you're in a roller coaster.
And how's that shown up in your business life?
So here's the thing that I'm going to tell you. 92% of my profession looks like you. It's time for a change. It's time for a change. The tools that work for me, my parents and my grandparents, do not work anymore. They don't. The idea that, and I started in the financial industry in 91. We don't need to talk about how old that makes me, but it's been a minute since I started, right? And so in 91, we were still telling everybody, put everything in your 401k, because when you retire, you're not going to need as much money. Your tax bracket will go down and it will be okay. Okay. That didn't work. It didn't work. Your need for income is not going down. Your taxes are not going down. And that strategy for sure will not work for our kids and grandkids. So what we've always done isn't getting us what we've always got. And it's time for the old boys network to look more like the faces of America and not like it's always looked. So if that's not rebellious enough, I would, that's a start.
Yeah, for sure. No doubt about that. And, I love what you say about, getting started in business in 91, that, those rules don't work anymore today. And, I remember when I first went into real estate was about the same time, 91. But I can remember my parents always saying, "Hey, why don't you go get a job and work 40 years, 40 hours a week for a $40 watch when you retire?"
Yeah.
And I'm probably rebellious myself, and wanna go do something else. But why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into financial planning and what makes you want to change the world?
So I live in Austin, Texas now. I was raised in South Dakota.
Mm,
I was raised in a time that you and I can remember. I don't know how much of your audience will remember, but it was farm aid, right? The Willie Nelson was singing for the farmers. I
yeah.
grew up on a 3,000 acre ranch in South Dakota. 4 generations of my family lived there. Um, my dad knew crops and cattle. He did not know money. Fine education in America is lacking. We just met, so I'm going to say lacking is a good word. Um, we lost the ranch, like, didn't work for us, and so 4 generations of my family, and now we couldn't pay the bill, and we moved down. That's what happened. So
Mm.
I think people come to financial planning because we are a cautionary tale, right? So I went, there's got to be another way. This is not security in any kind of way. Like, farmers don't retire, they just die. Like, they don't ever retire. That's not a thing that
Yeah.
we do. Okay. Right. So there had to be another way. So when I started in finance, that was my impetus. Like, there has to be rules to this game, and we do not know those rules.
Hey,
Fast.
I gotta stop you for a minute and ask
Okay.
you. So I'm amazed, 4 generations. How do you go about losing a ranch, especially of that magnitude after 4 generations?
So ranchers do, right? They take a big loan at the beginning of the year to feed the crops and buy the cattle and do all those things. And the idea is that you pay off the note at the end of the year when you sell the cattle. Like, that's the idea. If you can't sell the cattle, or the cattle don't sell for what they are worth, like, anybody who's seen Yellowstone knows this, right?
Right.
If you can't sell, well, your entire future, all of the everything is mortgaged to buy the cattle and the crops. And if you can't sell it, what are you going to do? It's not like you have the cash. If you had the cash, you wouldn't have taken the loan. So
Right.
ranchers know to take a big loan and hope they can pay it off. That is ranching. They do not know to build a legacy that they can leverage for themselves so that they don't have to rely on the banks anymore. Like, if we could gradually change that paradigm so that ranchers could do different, it would change the face of America. But we didn't know that.
Yeah. Interesting. Interesting. So, tell us a little bit about what you're currently doing and how you make an impact in people's lives.
So I am the mother of 7 children, 6
No way.
grandchildren.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
It just means I'm a slow learner, really. That's what you need to know, is I'm a slow learner. Um, they're almost all grown. My caboose is 15, so she's just started driving. I up to everyone for that. She's the last. I won't do it again. Um, what I know is that the tools, even that worked for me, aren't working for them. Like, my kids tell me I will never be wealthy. I know that. They millennials and Gen Z, they know the financial deck is stacked against them, and it is. They're right. Like, you're in real estate, so in 2000, what could you buy a house for in 2000, brand new?
Yeah, you know what? I have to tell you that I don't I don't remember. If you ask me 90, I'll remember. But I've been out of the residential side of real estate for a long time and in the multifamily space.
Got
So
it.
so I don't pay attention to residential as I used to.
So here I'll answer, right? In 2000, you could buy a new house for $165,000. Average salary was 40 grand, single salary. Today, the average single family home, national average, $512,000. Average salary, $60,000. How is that going to work for our kids?
Hence why we've become a renter nation.
That's right. That's right. That's absolutely right. They will never own homes. This is not working. So we need to system and make a new one. And that means less reliance on the government, less reliance on government permission for tax deferral, less reliance on Social Security. Like, we need to be self-reliant. That's the goal.
So you're a financial planner, and what is your from that world? Because I find a lot of times financial planners have a resistance to alternative investments. Alternative investments being, real estate, gas and oil. They want their clients more in traditional stocks and bonds and mutual funds. What is your philosophy around that?
I mean, not to push the real estate analogy too far, but there's a strategy, right? Do you need to have a foundation that is secure? Yes, you do. Of course you do. Is that going to be gas and oil and alternative investments? No, it's not going to be. Absolutely not. But if you build the strategy correctly, you can have that secure foundation build up into alternative investment, I think can be really powerful in changing the scope of what young families are able to do.
And how are you framing that?
For young families?
Yeah.
So the young families are my favorite to work with, honestly. I love work. I worked with a 28-year-old couple last week, and I said one of my first questions to young couples is always, okay, we're going to engineer your financial future together. So tell me when you would like to retire. Which is a great question for a 28-year-old, right? And they looked at me, right, and I could tell that they were trying to find a polite way to say, before we're as old as you. Which is fine. So what they said to me was, we really can't imagine working full time after we're 45. And in my heart, I'm like, oh, you're so cute. I love that. I love this. I love this for you. You're adorable. But what I said was, okay, when you think about retirement, what does that mean to you? What does that mean? How much money do you think you'll need? It will be a stretch, but we can get there from here. And that's what young families need to hear is, whatever your goal is, we can get there from here. And when you lay out the steps and say, first, we're going to handle this. We're going to make sure that you're protected, right? Okay, let's just be clear. We need to do that. We're going to create a leverageable account for your future so that when emergencies come, you have something to tap. We're going to then create a foundation for retirement. We're going to take advantage of your Roth IRA. We're going to take advantage of those things. And then on top of that, we're going to consider alternatives. What those alternatives are depends on their risk tolerance and how fast they want to go. But there's really no limits. We can get there. And nobody's telling them that, but we are.
Yeah. This is kind of an interesting question. Can you take a young family and have them retired by 45?
Sure. Absolutely.
Let's say somebody's working a traditional job and their, average salary today, I think you said, is $60,000 a year.
That's it.
And, on that salary, over 20 years, can you get somebody to retire?
Depends, right? So I will say that W-2 employees are the hardest.
Hmm.
They are, because you're inherently limited. You're inherently you have limits. You only have a certain amount of income to work with. So I hate to say it depends, but it does. How do you own a home? Do you have children? How many children do you have? Are you healthy? Do you have a side hustle, right? Or do you just work 9 to 5 and then you do whatever you do after that, right? Can we do it? Yes. Will it be a lot of pinch for a W-2 employee? Yeah, it will. It will. That's hard. That's because we expand our lifestyle to fill our salary. That's what we do.
Right.
So once you've done that, it's really hard to roll that back. Now, for an entrepreneur, for an investor, for a small business owner, okay, we have a lot of flex there. We can work with that. We can goal set. We can do all kinds of things with tax advisory, helping you on that side to make sure that you're paying your taxes, but you're not leaving a tip. Like, let's not do that.
Yeah. I love that comment. You're paying your taxes, but you're not leaving a tip. That's the advantage to real estate, right? Is real estate gives you so many write-offs. It gives you, whether you're an active investor or a passive investor, real estate gives you the opportunity to put more cash in your pocket at the end of the year and to help you create generational wealth.
Absolutely. I think real estate is a fantastic investment. I love my real estate clients. There's all kinds of opportunity there for tax advisory. Right? Let's minimize taxes as much as possible, even right now. And part of that is looking at having tax advice. So tax advisory is different than having a PA, right?
Right.
And I love CPAs. No shade being thrown here, but CPAs are backward looking. They look at what you have done and they say, this is your bill. But rarely, it is a rare and special CPA that is going to say, and young entrepreneur, if you do this A, B, and C differently next year, you will pay less. They're not going to do that. They don't do that. So to work with tax advisory and to say, hey, here's how you can structure your accounting so that you're taking advantage of every loophole out there, right? Supreme Court's learned hand. Do you know who that is?
I know the name, but yeah.
He's fantastic. He's my favorite, right? So he said it is our civic responsibility to minimize our taxes as much as possible. It doesn't make you a better citizen to pay more in taxes. In fact, it makes you the best citizen if you take advantage of every rule there is out there to minimize your tax liability as much as possible, which I love, because you are always going to make better decisions with your money than the government is, always, 150% of the time.
Yeah, I agree with that statement a lot. I find it so interesting that people who invest and, are knowledgeable about investing, as well as people not as knowledgeable as some, but they wait until December 20th to start thinking about some tax planning. I remember when I sold residential real estate, I had a friend that every year on the 22nd of December, he was running around buying office supplies and spending money and, trying to have write-offs and things he could write off. And then he started buying real estate. And when he started buying real estate, he didn't have to do that anymore because now he was planning. But I find it so interesting that people wait till the end of the year when right now, January is the time to start looking at planning. And how do you prepare yourself for, April of 2027, right? And get positioned. What's your experience with people around that?
So here's the thing about entrepreneurs, right? We rainmakers. That's what we do. And so inherently we suck at planning for ourselves.
Mm.
We're so busy doing what we do that we're ruled by the tyranny of the urgent. And so why don't plan until December 22nd? Well, because there's X, Y, and Z urgent thing that I need to do right now and right now and right now and right now. And then all of a sudden it's December and crap, I didn't do that. Now I have to hustle to ensure that I'm getting the tax deductions that I need. Having a roadmap that says this is what I'm going to do this year is super difficult for an entrepreneurial mindset, a rebellious mindset like myself. I hate this. I legitimately, I don't take your own medicine. Yeah, I still hate it even now. But I know, and I've learned to say, like I had this conversation this morning with someone. They called me and they wanted me to participate in this marketing program, and it was relatively expensive. And like any good salesperson would, he said, well, if I could increase your business by X by July, would the investment make it worth it? And I had to say, yes. However, my business consultant has this boot on my neck and is not allowing me to take advantage of any new opportunities right now because we hurt ourselves with our shiny object syndrome. Squirrel, let's do this. Squirrel, let's do that. No. Do this. Master this. That's all. Nothing else. And entrepreneurs struggle to stay consistent and stay boring and stay excellent. We struggle with that action, right? We just do. It's hard to be boring so we can be excellent. But that is what it is. Saying, this is my path. This is the roadmap. And this is what I will stick to. I don't care how good it sounds. No score today. No, thank you. Pass.
Yeah. You know, what's interesting to me about that whole conversation is that there's a book out right now that's called The Science of Scaling. And I wish I could remember the author's name, but in the book, he talks about that. He says, you know what, pick one thing that you're really good at and build that. And it's the same thing in every, silo in our life, is that we get that shiny object syndrome. And I'm the same way. Hey, let's run this way. You know what, maybe this isn't working real well. Let's try this for a while. And I think that, the growth comes in the longevity and the consistency of doing it over and over again, building repetitious boredom and, the mundane boredom on a daily basis and building what you have. And it's certainly the same thing in financial planning.
It absolutely is. I'm a huge Alex Hormozy fan.
Mm.
And that is what he says: stay consistent, stay boring, stay excellent.
Yeah.
And for a rebellious mindset, that is ridiculously hard. It's hard. If I wanted to be bored, I'd work a job. I don't want to work a job. I hate that. No.
Right.
But doing the same thing repetitive, that's where excellence comes from. It's where it comes in the gym. It's where it comes in. And when I was very young, 20 something, 22, I had a financial advisor at that point, a mentor, say to me, what is retirement to you? And I'm like, I don't know, having a lot of money. And he said, no, this is retirement. Retirement means options. You have the option to do what you want to do, when you want to do it, where and how you want to do it. That's all. Mm. It's not a number. It's the options that you have. And the number in the bank feeds your options. It does. So for me, I have tried to retire like 3 times. Honest to God. I see that little sad plant in the background. Yeah, that's why I'm not retired. I'm really good at killing plants. There is not enough crafts on Pinterest to keep me busy. And I get crazy. I get crazy eyes. And I am mission focused. I need a purpose. And I come back to this because I can see the difference generationally that I can make in families. So when, we lost the ranch, I didn't have a college fund. I made it through college on ramen and Mountain Dew, man. That's how I made it. Like, you work 3 jobs and you study and you buy the cheapest possible food. You make soup from ketchup packets like you're in prison and you do the thing, right? I know, guaranteed for sure, my children and grandchildren will be financially independent because I have structured it so. It would generationally, we are different. And I do that for families. And so that means something.
Here's a personal question for you. If your family wouldn't have lost the ranch, would you still be doing that today?
No, I wanted to get off the ranch in about 2 seconds. Like I was not a rancher. No.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been a rancher, but I think the universe channels us right into what we're supposed to do. So I was raised in the 80s. I'm Gen X all the way. I wanted to be rich. That's what I wanted. I wanted to be adult in the 80s so badly, and do all the radical things that those kids, but I wasn't of age, so I couldn't. And who knew? I don't actually have the tolerance for that I thought I might. The mission came later. When my guidance counselor in high school said, Rebecca, what do you want to do? I said, what's going to make me the most money? I don't care. I'm smart enough to do whatever I dang well choose to do. Where will I make the most money?
Yeah.
And I lived in a town of 1,000 people. She didn't know. I asked her, I'm like, well, what's an Ivy League school? She's like, I don't know, fancy school. I'm like, there's got to be more to it than that, don't you think?
Yeah.
So, but you make decisions, and here this door opens and you walk through it. And then, you have a family, and all of a sudden you're dealing with life and it punches you in the face, and you get up and go, okay, well, I'm going to avoid that hole hopefully next time. And you keep on trucking.
Yeah. Great philosophy. So give me one crazy story from the 80s, Rebecca.
Well, in full disclosure, in the 80s, I was in middle school, so it's not too crazy. But I will tell you, when I was, and I still think I would have been a good one, I wanted to be an attorney. This is a story I never told. I don't think I've ever told anyone this. My dad was a Marine, and I was a rebellious child, and I wanted to be an attorney. My dad did not know that until later. And as rebellious children will sometimes, I had little sticky fingers, and the local grocery store picked me up with a candy bar in my pocket, and my dad got called, and as a Marine will, had words with me. And this is what he said to me. This is how the universe works sometimes. He said, do you understand you will never be able to be an attorney now, 10-year-old girl, because you shoplifted a candy bar?
Oh.
And I was so scared to ever ask anyone that question that I never pursued law for that reason. For that reason, because I'm terrified and ashamed to admit to anyone that I had shoplifted a candy bar when I was 10 years old. And I did do it. And I got and I'm glad that I did. But that's what he in his anger to me changed my whole trajectory of life, because I wanted to be an attorney. Now he said, well, you'll never be able to do that because you have done this stupid thing 10 years old.
Isn't it crazy the impact that we have on our children or our parents have had on us? When you talk about, money, and I just started teaching a class, a 6-week class for some of my coaching clients. But I spent the first half of the first night on mindset and the stories we tell ourselves. The stories like, money doesn't grow on trees. Money's the root of all evil. You'll never be rich. I can't pay this bill. How am I going to afford this? I can't afford this. The stories we tell ourselves that keep us from success. or financial success, right? And how much of that, like there's a great story, right? From 10 years old, and, uh, wonder what your life would have been like if you would have been an attorney.
That would have been a good one. I would have been a good attorney.
Yeah.
But here's speaking of stories, this is the most damaging story that I see in my children. And I'm trying, we have this conversation a lot. We are a family that talks about all things. I lean, not surprisingly, fiscally very conservative. I'm very conservative fiscally. My kids lean like left of Bernie Sanders. They're very, 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 very liberal, which I think young people are, right? Because you don't have anything and you want stuff. So, but the most damaging story I see them telling themselves is money zero-sum game. Because Jeff Bezos has a lot of money, people are starving. Because Elon Musk has a contract for $1 trillion, therefore workers are treated badly. That's not true. Right. Money is not a zero game. Money is the exchange of energy, right? Why does Jeff Bezos have a lot of money? Because he changed the world. He changed the world. How I interact with the world on a day-to-day basis is because of Amazon. It is. And I'm not complaining about it either. He gets a lot of my energy. He does. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Elon Musk has changed the world. I drive. My car drives me because Elon Musk. That's energy. And because he has more doesn't mean I have less. Or some starving child in Africa, as Elon Musk sold another car. That's not how it works. But they think it's one big pie. And if Jeff has a big piece, somebody else has a little piece. That's so not true. And if we could educate people to understand that money is a magnifier. If you're a good person, it will make you able to be better because you have the resources and options to be better. If you're a bad person, and there are some of those, you can also do bad things with money. I mean, that's a fair assessment, but it doesn't mean you have less because I have more or vice versa. It's a damaging story and we need to correct it.
So how do you, in what you do you work with people around that story? What's the story that you grew up with and what you believed in? Is that part of your process as a financial planner? And maybe you even have friends personally in your life that you've talked to about that, but I see that so often, right? And I love what you said, that money's an exchange of energy. And it's about what we put into the universe, right? It's about what we're saying. If I look at something and I go, I can't afford this, that's a negative energy I'm putting out there. But if I look at it and say, what can I do to afford this? Or what can I do to buy this? Or take this trip or take this vacation? That's a more positive outlook. And listen, I didn't always think that way. And, I think we grew up in a generation that maybe didn't allow us to think that way. So,
I think there's different philosophies, right? So I listen to people now say, here's a good one from the mom of 7. I'll have children when I'm, girl, you never ready. You are never ready. You'll never be financially ready. You'll never be mentally, emotionally ready for the trauma of having small humans. No, God, you'll never be ready. Trust me, I did it 7 times. You just, you do. And my husband and I were of the opinion, and I wouldn't say I would be a proponent of this opinion anymore. Did work for us, right? We were just like, well, if we have the kids, we're going to take care of our children. So therefore, the money will come to take
Mm.
care of it. And it did. But had we said, we're going to have 7 children and the costs for their college will be $87 million, which is probably what it would be, we never would have had a single child. The overwhelm of the end game is too much. So we put all that mental pressure on ourselves and go, I can't possibly do this. We overwhelm ourselves rather than saying, and if you bring this back to finance, right? I'm going to take the first step. I'm going to establish a correctly engineered emergency fund, right? Okay, that's a great first step. Let's do that. Great. So don't think about having $5 million at retirement or $10 million at retirement. What's the first step you can take successfully right now? And that's how it is with real estate, right? What's the first step that I have to take to invest in real estate? Well, there is one, and it's not being a real estate mogul, right? It's not being Donald Trump. It's being whatever it is first, right?
Yeah, 100%. Well, Rebecca, this has been quite a conversation, and you've got my mind spinning a little bit about how do I bring this money message more to my audience. And I think it's something that I'm going to talk about more throughout this year. So I appreciate you for that, because that kind of gave me not a shiny object, but a new thought on how I maybe serve my clients a little bit more. But what do you want people to know before we, land this plane this morning? What do you want people to know, and how do people get a hold of you and reach out to you?
I think the message that I've tried to get out there is that wherever you are, we can engineer a path forward. Wherever you're starting to. Money is like fat girl, which I was for a long time. When a fat girl, I never wanted to step on the scale, right? Because there's a lot of shame involved with that. And I had a doctor say to me one time, sweetheart, stepping on the scale is not good or bad. It's just is what it is. It's fine. It's neutral. You go from here. That's good or bad, right? Money is the same. There's no fat girl shame with money, right? It's just, you are where you are. And we can create a map to get you where you want to go. Wherever that is, you can get there from here. But you need a holistic finance planner or a coach or somebody to help you engineer that path. It's not about fat girl shame anymore. No shame in the fat girl. We don't do that anymore. It's a modern world. It just is what it is. Let's create a path to get you where you want to go. We can get there from here. As far as how you can find me, Blue Sky Financial, Sky with an E, BLUESKYE, financial.com. That's the website. It's fantastic. My son made it, so I'm very proud of him. All the socials on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky Financial, and all of those places. I do not TikTok. So all the socials besides that, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, all of those.
Awesome.
You can find me.
Thanks for being here today, Rebecca. I am going to move you to the green room if you just hang out for a minute and let me say goodbye.
Awesome.
Hey, everybody, that's a great episode this morning. And, like I said, it really got me thinking more about bringing more of a money message to you on Saturday morning and talking more about it, because, I think that it's not something that we talk enough about or a lot about. And it's beyond just investing or buying real estate, but it's about a mentality and a story that we tell ourselves and where we go. And this message Rebecca brought this morning was just awesome. So reach out to her, learn more about her and what she does and how she might be able to help you. Hey, if you're new to the show, like us, love us, subscribe. We're here every morning, every Saturday morning, bringing you a new guest, some good information, something that's going to help push you along. Follow us on social media, reach out, DM if I can answer any questions or do anything for you. don't hesitate. Look forward to seeing you soon. Happy New Year, everybody.